What if the reason she can't stop thinking about you has nothing to do with luck, and everything to do with the way you shape her attention, her emotions, and her imagination in a deliberate, ethical, masculine way? Stay with me, because over the next minutes I'm going to show you how to engineer that effect with a precise mix of self-mastery, presence, novelty, tension, and timing. Principles rooted in psychology, behavioral science, and time-tested seduction frameworks. So you stop chasing and start magnetizing. You won't need corny lines, you won't need to pretend to be someone else, and you definitely won't play games that violate respect or consent. What you will do is learn how to become the man whose presence becomes a rewarding habit in her nervous system, the signal she scans for in a noisy world, the standard she measures other men against, because you're rare in the ways that matter. Before we build anything on the outside, we correct what's broken on the inside. Attraction is an amplifier, not a repairman. If your frame is shaky, more attention only exposes the cracks. So the first lever is internal frame control, your ability to regulate your state and project a centered, grounded energy. This is not a buzzword. In plain psychology, state regulation is self-control in action. In Stoicism, it's the discipline of perception and action. In influence research, it's the difference between being pulled by the environment and setting the temperature of the room. The fastest way to stabilize your frame is a daily protocol that forces competence and quiet power into your nervous system. Resistance training that pushes you, deliberate cold exposure or breath control for stress tolerance, and deep work on one meaningful goal for 90 uninterrupted minutes. Why does this matter for attraction? Because humans are exquisitely sensitive to signals of self-command. A calm baseline heart rate, steady micro-expressions, and controlled vocal prosody telegraph that you're not spiking for approval. That reads as safety and status at once. Rare, and therefore valuable. Now, we move from presence to polarity. Masculine polarity isn't aggression, it's direction. You will not become her habit by being a mirror. You'll become her habit by being a vector. A man who knows what he wants and where he's going, and invites her into that momentum. Direction shows up in small moments. You choose a time and a place. You propose an experience instead of asking for permission for every micro-decision. You maintain eye contact long enough to transmit certainty without sliding into performative intensity. This is consistent with what frame theorists in persuasion describe as owning the frame. You set the premise of the interaction and avoid being dragged into reactive compliance. The paradox is simple. A woman can relax into you when you aren't trying to manage her reactions. You hold the course. She tests the hull. Your steadiness creates trust. Let's talk value, because attraction follows perceived value, not declarations of value. Forget bragging. You're going to demonstrate value implicitly through 3 channels that research continually shows shape attraction: preselection, social proof, and scarcity. Preselection is the instinctive inference that if you are desired by quality people, you likely possess desirable traits. Social proof is the environmental echo that confirms it. Scarcity is not manipulation. It's a reality of limited attention. Put these together without being theatrical. Curate your environment so it signals an interesting life, friends with warmth and depth, hobbies with visible output, spaces with intentional design. Share glimpses, not press releases. Let others compliment you in front of her. You stay humble. And keep your calendar genuinely full with pursuits that matter to you. Not to fake scarcity, but to live a life that makes your time an earned experience. When a man's hours are precious, every minute with him feels like a premium product. That's not a role, that's alignment. To become the man she craves, you must understand attention. Attention is the entry point to emotion, and emotion is the memory glue. The human brain privileges novel, salient, and emotionally charged stimuli. That means you must craft interactions that are novel enough to wake the nervous system, grounded enough to feel safe, and emotionally varied enough to avoid flatlining. Think in arcs, not moments. Create experiences with a beginning, a build, and a payoff. This is narrative design applied to dating. In social psychology, novelty spikes dopamine. In memory research, emotional peaks and endings are what people remember most. So design dates that offer 2 to 3 distinct textures: an easy warm-up, short walk, quick espresso, a shared challenge or curiosity, gallery with provocative pieces, a speakeasy with a hidden entrance, a street food crawl with a blind ranking, and a quieter decompression where you lock in the story of what you just lived together. You aren't buying attraction with price tags, you're engineering salience with pacing. Conversation is where most men get lost because they confuse performance with presence. The goal is not to dump facts, it's to create resonance. Use what interpersonal researchers call high-resolution questions, prompts that invite story, values, and self-revelation without interrogating. Instead of, "What do you do?" try, "What do you do that makes time disappear?" Instead of, "Where are you from?" try, "What place shaped you the most?" Then engage in deep listening, not the performative active listening you've seen in workshops, but what clinicians call empathic accuracy. Reflect the structure of what she said and identify the emotional theme underneath. When she reveals a value, calibrate with a concrete perspective from your life that shows you have a spine and a soul. Agreement is not the goal. Connection is. Tension is not the enemy. Dead air is. If you disagree, disagree with warmth and clarity. That friction, handled well, creates polarity and makes you memorable. Your voice is an instrument, and instruments need tuning. Prosody, your rhythm, pitch, and pace communicates more than your words. A steady, slightly slower pace signals authority. A controlled pause after a meaningful line creates gravity. A subtle drop at the end of sentences anchors the frame. Don't flatten your voice to sound alpha, that's a caricature. Vary your intonation to match content. Lighter and quicker for humor, slower and deeper for intimacy. Crisp and unhurried for leadership. Pair this with eye contact that breathes. Hold, then release. Speak, then let silence do part of the work. In influence literature, this is pacing and leading, and it's as important in dating as in negotiation. You match her current state briefly, then invite her into yours. Now let's address the psychology of craving without ever crossing into manipulation. Craving in the brain is tied to reward prediction error, the difference between what you expect and what you get. Variable reinforcement schedules, used unethically, can hook people in toxic ways. We're not doing that. What you will do is alternate between certainty and surprise in a healthy rhythm. Certainty looks like consistency in your character, your respect, your follow-through. Surprise looks like small, thoughtful deviations that signal creativity and attention. A spontaneous switch of location that fits the moment perfectly. A reference to something meaningful she mentioned days ago. A playful challenge after a moment of softness. This toggling keeps the experience alive without destabilizing trust. It's romance by design. Reliable foundation, playful edges. Scarcity without withdrawal becomes one of your sharpest tools. You do not weaponize silence, you curate availability. If you're always instantly reachable, you're not just easy, you're predictable. Predictability kills the story. On the other hand, if you disappear to provoke a chase, you're an amateur. Instead, set a cadence that honors your life. Respond thoughtfully within your rhythm. If she escalates, match and slightly lead. If she slows, keep your center. Dating is a dance of pacing. Remember the consistency principle from persuasion science. Once someone labels an experience as positive and desirable, every aligned action they take afterward strengthens that identity. Your job is to make it easy for her to identify you as a rare, deeply rewarding presence and then to let her invest by choice. Texting is where many men destroy the frame. Text is for logistics and light, strategic spark, not full novels, not endless validation. Think of it as a trailer, not the movie. Use it to set up experiences, to drop a line that references your shared context, to tease with warmth and intelligence, and to show calibrated interest that leaves room for anticipation. Keep your messages short but textured. Replace needy question marks with leading statements. Anchor a plan, confirm the window, then get off the thread. And when you do flirt, flirt in 3D. A sensory reference, a playful push-pull, a callback to a private joke. Let your language carry your signature, concise, vivid, masculine. Boundaries are oxygen for desire. Without boundaries, you are suffocating her with access. Decide your standards in advance. What behaviors are a no for you? What dynamics do you invest in? Where do you not compromise? State your boundaries calmly, briefly, and with zero emotional leak. If she tests them, as everyone will, hold. Attraction research and adult attachment theory both converge here. People trust the partners who are predictable in their values and flexible in their methods. You can be generous, soft, and romantic precisely because your spine is steel. That combination, warmth with backbone, creates the addictive blend most men never achieve. Let's dig into nonverbal magnetism because your body will tell the truth before your mouth does. Your posture should be relaxed but tall, shoulders open, neck free, weight balanced. Your movements should be economical, no jittering, no frantic gestures. When you enter a space, you scan slowly, not like you're hunting, but like you're at home. You claim a spot with good sight lines and back support, not the wobbly seat in the corner. You choose positions that put her at ease and invite closeness without pressure, 90-degree angles rather than dead-on confrontations. Side by side on walks rather than face-to-face interrogations. Touch follows a consent-driven progression, situationally appropriate, light and brief, reading her response in real time, calibrating always, never assuming. If she signals no, you stop. Respect is not only ethical, it's attractive. Style and grooming are not superficial. They're the outer layer of your signal. Your clothes should articulate your archetype. Minimalist masculine lines, quality fabrics, colors that complement your skin tone, textures that invite closeness. These are not trends, they're strategy. Your scent is the most underused lever because olfaction ties directly to memory. Choose a signature fragrance and deploy it lightly. Keep your hands well cared for. Maintain a clean beard line or a clean shave with intention. Every detail whispers, this man notices, this man chooses, this man curates. She will feel that even if she can't label it. To become a woman's irresistible choice, you must also master emotional range. Many men present only two states, cool or horny. That's childish energy. Mature masculine energy contains playfulness, gravity, capability, and tenderness. You laugh easily, you can be still, you can move fast when needed. You can hold eye contact and hold silence. You can tease and you can validate. You can plan precisely and pivot spontaneously. This flexible strength is potent because it meets the moment instead of forcing a script. Think of it as emotional agility. In therapy research, the ability to name emotions and shift states correlates with relationship satisfaction. You're not a robot, you're a conductor. Let's talk escalation without awkwardness. Escalation is simply deepening intimacy step by step across multiple channels: intellectual, emotional, physical, and logistical. You don't try to jump from baseline to peak. You lay breadcrumbs. Intellectually, you move from casual topics to values and dreams. Emotionally, you move from shared humor to shared vulnerability. Then back to play, so you don't linger in heaviness. Physically, you move from environmental proximity to brief, respectful touch, to longer contact only if reciprocated, reading her cues the entire time. Logistically, you move from short meets to longer experiences. The test of healthy escalation is this: it never feels like pressure, it feels like gravity. If there's resistance, you slow down without sulking, you re-establish safety, and you continue enjoying the moment. That restraint is intoxicating. Rituals create stickiness. A private handshake, a recurring spot, a shared phrase. Tiny rituals build a microculture of two. In behavioral science, rituals heighten meaning and increase perceived value. In relationships, they become anchors. You introduce them lightly. Maybe it's the way you order dessert to share, the way you choose a corner seat, the playlist you build together one track at a time. These are not cheesy, they're the scaffolding of memory. She will associate those rituals with your presence. Every repetition deepens the groove. One of the most powerful attractions is admiration. Not worship, admiration. To earn admiration, live by a code and demonstrate competence under pressure. Keep promises, especially the small ones. Hold your temper when provoked. Solve problems with creativity. Protect her time and energy. These are not grand gestures, they are a pattern. In long-term attraction studies, dependability and intelligence consistently rank high for women. That doesn't mean money and looks don't matter, they do, but they're multipliers, not foundations. A man with resources and no character is an amusement park ride. A man with character and no ambition is a meditation cushion. You're building both: character and competence, ambition and warmth. Now we get tactical about first impressions because they create the frame you will live in. Your opener in person is simple, present, and clean. Observe, connect, propose. Observe something real in the environment, connect it to a genuine statement or question, then propose a micro-interaction. For example, you make a grounded comment about the place you're in. You link it to a curiosity about her perspective. Then you suggest a small action like tasting something, checking a corner, evaluating a choice together. This is not a script, it's a structure. Online, your first message should be specific to her profile and end with an easy, open-ended prompt that invites a story, not a yes-no. Within 3 to 5 exchanges, anchor a time and place. The window closes if you let it drift. Screening is part of attraction. You're not trying to be everyone's favorite. You're finding the woman who resonates with your polarity. That means you ask questions that reveal alignment: how she invests her time, how she handles stress, what she's building, what she respects, what she considers fun. You're not judging, you're discerning. When something is misaligned, you say so kindly and move. A man who can walk away is a man who can be chosen. Scarcity again, but this time, it's principled scarcity. When you plan a date, design for movement and novelty with safety and comfort woven in. A date with one static node is a coin flip. A date with 3 micro-environments creates a story. Meet for a short coffee or walk. Transition to a creative or curious activity. Decompress somewhere calm. Plan the transitions in advance to avoid dead time. Choose lighting that flatters, sound levels that allow conversation, seating that supports closeness, and experiences that can be shortened or extended. Be prepared to pivot if the vibe shifts. You are the leader, not a tour guide. You shape, you don't force. After the date, lock in the memory. Use the peak end rule. Send a concise message the next day, referencing a specific peak moment you both enjoyed, then offer a seed for what's next that builds on that theme. This reinforces the positive imprint and creates a forward vector. Your goal is not to flood her with attention, it's to crystallize the highlight and open a loop. Attraction thrives on open loops. The mind wants to close them. You will close them with action, not with pleading. Let's address tests, because you will be tested. Tests are not attacks, they are data. Some are playful to assess your confidence, some are protective to assess your intentions, some are unconscious to assess your stability. Your response is always the same. You remain calm, you don't over-explain, you lightly reframe or set a boundary, and you proceed if the interaction stays respectful. If it doesn't, you exit with grace. Never trade your dignity for access. The man she craves is the man who protects his standard, not the man who auditions. Sexual tension is an art of timing and calibration. Desire without respect is predation. Respect without desire is friendship. You create tension with proximity, with pauses, with a playful challenge, with a compliment that lands below the surface of her looks and above the surface of her ego. You acknowledge energy honestly without being crude. You escalate only when reciprocation is clear, and you remain able to slow down or stop without drama. Enthusiastic consent is a turn-on. Read it, ask for it when the moment matters, and make safety part of the pleasure. If you want to become her irresistible choice over time, you invest in continuity. Continuity is the art of weaving micro-stories from your shared experiences so the relationship feels like a living series, not random episodes. The brain loves pattern recognition. Bring back themes, places, jokes, music, flavors. Add fresh variations. You are writing a story, and in that story, you are both the author and the man who can step away from the page to care for his mission. That balance, attention when you're together, devotion to your path when you're not, keeps the polarity alive. Jealousy games, manufactured scarcity, or intentional inconsistencies are the tools of the weak. They may generate spikes of attention, but they erode trust and burn the foundation. You're playing a longer game. Your power is consistency in values, unpredictability in expression. The content of you is stable, the form is never boring. That's the blend that gets remembered. Now, understand the strategic use of compliments. Compliments are scalpel, not spray. You do not flood her with praise. You identify the trait behind the surface, and you name it. If she makes an incisive observation, you value her sharpness. If she shows kindness to a stranger, you value her heart. If she dresses with intention, you value her taste. Every compliment should be specific, earned, and delivered sparingly enough to retain weight. This is aligned with what researchers call diagnosticity. The more diagnostic a signal is of a trait, the more it changes perception. Your compliments should diagnose character, not just report decoration. Healthy challenge is rocket fuel. You don't create friction for the sake of it. You invite her upward. If she speaks vaguely, you ask a sharper question. If she downplays her dream, you ask for the bigger version. If she makes an excuse, you hold up a mirror with warmth. Challenge is attractive when it's rooted in belief in her potential, not in your need to feel superior. Combine challenge with appreciation, and you get growth plus desire. Let's talk calibration across archetypes. Not every woman resonates with the same signals. Some are drawn to the explorer, adventure, novelty, movement. Some to the sage, depth, insight, stillness. Some to the warrior, decisiveness, protection, intensity. Some to the artist, creativity, sensuality, presence. You can possess elements of all, but one or two will be your home. Amplify your dominant archetype in your style, your date design, and your conversation themes. Attraction deepens when identity feels coherent. Your mission is non-negotiable. A man adrift becomes clingy because romance becomes his only source of meaning. A man on mission becomes magnetic because he carries a gravitational field. Your career, your craft, your body of work. Choose something worthy of your drive and pursue it with discipline. Invite her to witness, sometimes to participate, but never to replace it. Many women are drawn not only to the man before them, but to the horizon that man is walking toward. The horizon gives context to your affection. Repair is part of intimacy. When you misstep, and you will, repair quickly. Acknowledge, own, and adjust. Do not drown in apologies. Do not ignore. Clean repair demonstrates maturity and increases trust. In relationship research, effective repair attempts are a hallmark of lasting bonds. You don't need to turn every misalignment into a lesson. Sometimes, "You're right, that was off. Here's how I'll handle it next time" is the most attractive sentence you can say. Take care of the sensory details. Humans are embodied minds. The temperature of the room, the texture of the chair, the lighting on faces, the soundtrack in the background. These are multipliers. Curate them. Your home should be a temple of your taste. Clean, intentional, warm. No clutter, shrieking chaos. A man whose environment is disciplined suggests a mind that is disciplined, that soothes the nervous system and frees space for attraction to breathe.